It wasn't over a woman that war began, but it's better to see it this way. My myth professor loved to say, a man from the South rumored to extort the bodies of college girls into higher grades. My girlfriend of the time told me so. He was a creep. She got an A in the class and liked his joke about religion as self-mutilation. It was Ramadan then, and, oh Helen, I was fasting. I lie awake in a desert night east of the Atlantic on the verge of rain, the catapulted grains of sand and hot zinc roof, the rustle of leaves, the flap of peeling bark on trees whose names I do not know. And where would I find a botany guide here? Water flowed like a river from the Jebel once. There were elephant pools, alligator streams, and a pond for the devil to speak in human tongues, all desiccant names now after an earthquake shuffled the ground decades ago. It will rain soon, I'm assured, since nothing has stopped the birds from migration. All the lookalikes are already here. The stork, the heron, the white flying flowers, the ibis, and the one that aesthetizes you more. Nothing holds ground in a poem. I was with a crane building its nest when a man from a grass shrapnel village handed me a note that a soldier lay in my bed with a bullet in his thigh. I was in the middle of tents, mothers in a city where each night the donkeys are chattering birds after fetching wood and lugging water. Then comes tranquility, the distance from the square to the quantum of speech. This one falls out like a parasite from the gut, a tiny snake. This one is the age of lacrimal juice, brief like a harvest or a gilded watch with a cracked face on the wrist of the man who wears the same suit every day. In a few days, the body will expel its dead. In a few days, land will bury the living, and memory will do as it did. And in no time, she was up in the mango tree. He only demanded that she descend, take off her dress, and walk home down the orchard path naked. A girl of 14 climbed down, stepped out of her body, and gazed at her mother, the first to reach her with a shawl. Whatever they ask you, say he never touched you. Whatever happens, he never touched you. On the night of the accident that flipped over the military truck, cracking many teenage bones, there was a wedding. The family blazed the air. Bullets came down into the groom's chest. Last night we heard a pop. One of us shouted, "Wow," in her sleep. Another, awake and laughing, said, "Here goes the bride and the dowry. Cash that looks like human remains. You can feel the grains of dead skin rolling in your pocket, so handled, the notes so bandaged, taped, and stapled, or used as toll for donkey or cow on the road to Stone Thrower Mountain, where the wretched come from and the best oranges grow. Market day, a soldier's favorite. The sky is yellow today. Tonight will be so hot you won't sleep. You stand at the grave of the one you left last night in the clinic to curfew and logistics. An old man whose prostate suffocates him stands next to you. He was there when there was no head count or burial. But today, The sky is yellow. You've missed the prayer and the digging. You've made it for a glimpse of the body in white linen under sweet camphor bark and wood, then saplings and mud, and then the dry sand. This child wears its skin like spandex on the bone. There's a dry lake fontanelle. Fontanelle or foramen isn't the aesthetic alone. So what if you threw in Greek or Latin? Both are openings in the head. One is a lack of closure. This child has a mother whose husband was recently killed, a nascent narrative. This child was an old man once. This child heaves its ribs. Its eyes are cholera eyes, pennies on a glossy screen, image in myelin, time I came off it and told the truth. I don't feel good today. Marhaba. Halima's mother did not seem aware Halima was dying. You should have seen Halima fight her airlessness, twisting around for a comfortable spot in the world. She would gather all the air she could in an Olympic snatch and curl, then turn toward her mother's breast to suckle, but nothing changed. Neither smell nor taste of mother's milk was proof of life. Halima died of a failing heart early this dawn. Her mother, with tears now, was on the road 20 steps past me before I turned and found her waiting. We walked back toward each other. We met. We read verses from the Quran, our palms open, elbows upright like surgeons ready to gown up after scrubbing, the slap of rubber gloves before we went our separate ways. In paradise, hospital beds sit under ageless mahogany and sycamore that bear every kind of fruit. Hot meals are autumn leaves, branches are waitress arms, and also poles for drips. And birds drop the pills in your mouth from bills of surgical precision. For aspirin, the swallow. For Benadryl, the nightingale. No harm befalls you. The roots will sense your ailment. The flowers will scan your organs. Geranium for the spleen, poppies for the brain, and where there's a latrine, a jasmine vine will blossom. He came, the humanitarian man, and in the solitude of giving, he befriended a stray dog as mirror. Every day after the long, arduous hours of the humane, he would come home to be consoled. The dog waiting inside the door, wagging and panting in a rave. He named him something foreign to the population so as not to offend anyone. He trained him to sit on the cheap sofa one finds in places of conscious exile. And the dog got to know the front seat of the car, his tongue licking the air, hair blowing, children cheering barefoot. Then it was time to make the dog part of his family of dogs back home, but the cruel government of the wretched refused. There was no identity card, and no mirror inside the mirror could console the dog slumped by the door in hunger strike until it died. He came, the humanitarian man. He came and loved. Then he went. Okay, that's for Pulse. Sorry. Thanks for bearing with me.